Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Trying something new today. I have got the snow globe and the with wire earbuds in today. I'm trying to prevent this echo reverb that happens a lot of times when I play videos. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't. When I use my Bluetooth, so my Bluetooth are totally unpredictable. And I don't like having to cut and clean up my videos and start over with clips behind the noise cancellation or the reverb or the double play, whatever's going on. It's a pain in the ass, to be truthful. Hopefully this will be a loud sounding, not too much background noise, maybe a little rain out the window. It's raining over here on this side of Texas right now, pouring down pretty good. Maybe you can hear that. But truth be known, I'm trying to fix my audio problems over here, and the Bluetooth is just too unpredictable. Sometimes it cuts out, sometimes it crackles, sometimes it double echoes. I don't know what to do besides throw it in the trash and start with something different. So I'm going to go with holding the snow globe to make sure that I'm close enough to the microphone, because the last time I tried this, it wasn't loud enough. So we're going to be real close today, so I'm going to hold it like a microphone. But I had a couple things I wanted to bring to y'all today, some really interesting news, some things that's going on, some people that are in trouble, and some other good news as well. It says, how many members, here's the question. It says, how many members of Congress were elected to represent the citizens of a foreign nation? The answer is 0. Not a single one. That's the absolute truth. So remember that when it's time to go vote in 2026, which I know you all will. We got to primary some of these people that are in there, and we have got to get some people set up in there to take their jobs. So hopefully everybody is already gearing up mentally to know you got to go vote in 2026 in order to get better choices in 2028. All right, folks, I got several things I wanted to bring to y'all today. And if you wanted to listen to that video yesterday about Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden being caught up in some audio information about getting our people killed, $150 billion payoffs, and all the corruption that went along with that, that clip is still up. 30-minute long video interview is still on my Devoted Patriots to X account. Come on over here and check it out if you haven't. It's definitely a deep dive into some crazy news. And at one time, people were getting nuked off of X for bringing that story out. But the story has been revived. Considering Elon Musk is running the show, not a problem with it being on X today. So that's good news. Didn't realize the story was a couple of years old when it first surfaced, but got nuked on YouTube and Twitter back then immediately, and so it basically died in the water at the time. And now it's resurfacing. That's why I'm bringing it back up. Hopefully y'all will go over there and share that, repost that, or at least for your own knowledge about what the hell happened with Benghazi, getting our troops killed, and the 3 henchmen, including Hillary, how they have really done the nasty to our country at the expense of $152 billion and the lives of a lot of our servicemen and civilians overseas. Just the facts, folks. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get into it. I had a couple of things I want to bring to y'all today I thought was pretty interesting. Now, this could be interpreted a couple of ways if you listen to the full podcast. But Michelle Obama today, otherwise known as Big Mike, was discussing transgender children. And just listen to this clip here. I know it's just an edited clip, but no matter how you shake this, maybe she's talking about, hold on. In the Obama clip, Michelle Obama is speaking to her guest about raising a child who's transgender, which warms her heart, okay? While she appears to be addressing the guest, the internet runs wild with the clip. Now, was she saying what she was saying to Damon Wayans because he's got a transgender kid and she's got a transgender kid? Or was it she was coming out and admitting that the Ellen video was real, the one where you see her junk swinging back and forth in the white pants? I know you know what I'm talking about, folks. Did Michelle Obama admit she's a man? Now, that is set up to interpretation. I would say it's probably a slip of the tongue, or maybe she's just tired of hiding it. We'll know in a few days if she comes on one of these other talk shows and starts talking about her coming out the closet moment. Now listen to this very carefully. The last 5 seconds of the video are just Makes me wonder, is she talking about herself? Because that's what it sounds like. Or is she somehow referring to Mr. Wayans and his situation? We'll see.
I wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man. Would you care to share that journey of?
Well, I learned.
As a Black man, would you care? Okay. So was she asking him as a Black man, how do you feel about your twisted child? Or was she saying, me, Michelle Obama, as a Black man? You be the judge. But there's several people on the internet today that are saying that Michelle Obama has admitted she's got a weenie. I don't know, folks, but I have seen some videos of her junk swinging. If those are not Photoshop, she had something going on down there, and I'll just leave it at that. All right, folks, let's get into something else. I don't want to talk about Michelle Obama's junk anymore. Big Mike, little Mike, I don't know what she is. Now, this here is glorious news. It says the FBI demotes agents photographed taking a knee for BLM during the George Floyd riots. Remember when all the different agencies had employees that knelt for the photograph, including Nancy Pelosi and all those cretins at the White House with their African slave draped, I don't know the name of that piece of material, draped across them just to show their solidarity to the Black Lives Matter ripoff. Well, at any rate, several agents were demoted due to taking the knee photograph. Looks here like we've got about 15 people in this particular photograph. It says Kash Patel's leadership has demoted the agents photographed taking a knee for Black Lives Matter during the George Floyd riot. In 2020, after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, BLM protesters sparked riots and demonstrated around the country in a show of support for the BLM protesters. Some law enforcement officers, included FBI agents, were cowardly took a knee. Oh yeah, they were complicit. They were trying to fit in. They were trying not to put a target on their back, so they started bending over, getting on their knees, and you know what happens when you get on your knees. Well, here we go. It says Rep. Jim Jordan received information about the retaliation against at least one whistleblower and a purge of conservative employees. In 2022, at least 14 whistleblowers went to the Rep. Jordan with allegations of misconduct and abuse within the Bureau under the Director Christopher Wray's leadership. Says what happened was, says during the Biden administration, all these agents that took a knee were immediately promoted to a higher rank. Additionally, according to the whistleblower, so in 2022, 14 whistleblowers come forward and said, "Look, this ain't right." And they come to Jim Jordan and said, "Look, we see what's going on here. The ones that are taking the knee are getting the raises or getting the promotion." Well, after Jim Jordan received the information, he said that the security clearances of conservative employees were being revoked as punishment. So they were picking on the Republicans while they were propping up the Democrats in the FBI. Insiders at the FBI previously told the Washington Times that the agency became more political under Biden and Wray and putting political liberal agents in charge through promotions. That's what it was all about, folks, putting the right people in the right places to do your bidding. They also punished or fired agents who supported conservative causes. Now these very agents who took the knee to show solidarity with BLM have been demoted. Hopefully they got demoted below their original status. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has reassigned several agents who were photographed taking a knee after the 2020 protest. The reassignment, viewed as demotions by many insiders of the FBI, come nearly 5 years after the episode that ignited controversy inside the Bureau. The FBI officials offered no explanation to changing the roles to less coveted positions for the agents, according to sources. The FBI declined to comment to CNN citing that the policy not to discuss personal matters, agents affected didn't respond to requested comments. Meaning it's none of your damn business what we did. We demoted them. We fired them. We took them down in pay. We shipped them off to work in FBI in South Africa. None of your business. That's our purview as the employer to the employee, and that's how the story. That's the end of that story, and that's all we're going to get behind that one. I do have to believe, although Cash Patel may come out with a some kind of report as to something on it, but for the most part, most companies and agencies will not discuss things about their employees with the public. There's laws against that. It says now, Marco Rubio announces he has located the dossier created by Biden regime to censor Americans, including Trump officials. There's at least one person at this table today who had a dossier on them. Now, is Marco Rubio the guy that was given the information that I was explaining yesterday on the video about the Hillary, Obama, and Joe Biden were all in deep shit behind this $152 billion and the payoff and the getting our own troops killed and the phony DNA and all the crap that went along with that supposedly assassination? Hopefully y'all took a deep dive into that. They said they give this information to somebody in Washington and it will be coming out soon. And hopefully they give it to the right person. Could this be the very... Could Marco Rubio be that guy? The guy that was giving the information about the dossiers, the censorship, the Pfizer warrants, the spying, the collusion, the whole shit show that was created by the deep state, including the people that were running the country at the time. It says Secretary of State Marco Rubio dropped a bombshell today that should frighten every conservative nationwide. As the Gateway pundit Jordan Conradson reported, President Trump and his own team held a cabinet meeting Wednesday. Team Trump spent a good portion of his meeting touting the president's impressive record for the last 100 days, issues ranging from immigration to the economy. But amid the celebration, Rubio mentioned some disturbing information. He revealed that Biden's Department of State had created a dossier with full intentions on spying on the content and censoring of American free speech rights. We had an office in this department of the state whose job it is to censor Americans, Rubio said. So we had a department to censor people. Then he dropped another bombshell. Here's the good part. At least one of those people affected was at the table. And by the way, there is at least one person at this table today who had a dossier on them in that building on social media posts to identify them as purveyors of disinformation, Rubio revealed. We're going to be turning over these dossiers to the individuals. Who could it be? So, do we have a mole going on in the Trump administration? What's going on here? It says, we've located dossiers created by the Biden regime with the intent to censor certain Americans. There are at least one person at this table today who had a dossier in that building. So somebody that's sitting at the table with Trump and his main cabinet members, probably former intelligence agency head that's at the table. It'd be pretty easy to figure out who it is if you just go through all the names. Maybe I'll have to do that later on today. That was blackmail, and that was those responsible for blackmail. And this should show more. Let's see. This is getting juicy, folks. I want to hear the full details. Here we go. It says that was blackmail, and those responsible should be arrested. How much do you want to bet this specific dossier was on Elon Musk? So our government was spying on Elon Musk, and they had a dossier out on him already, I guess, before Trump came in or during Trump's term. I don't know. We got to get to the bottom of this story. I am so curious. People on Twitter are saying time for arrest. Be willing to bet it wasn't Musk. It was RFK Jr. They were terrified of RFK Jr. It could be anybody in Trump's cabinet. How much they burn and shred. Yes, folks, this is a developing story that we don't have enough information about at this point, but I can say that they know who it is. If they say it's somebody in this room, all you got to do is look at the list of people in the room and go, okay, who would have had access to this dossier and why in the past? So are they against Trump? Or are they, I don't know, whose team were they on? Whoever's got the dossier, were they, I guess, playing ball with the other team, but now they're pretending to be Team Trump? I think that's the gist of it. It says high-ranking State Department officials plead guilty to embezzling over $650,000 in shocking abuse of taxpayer funds. So that is another official at the DOJ out. Or at the State Department, should I say. It says U.S. official at the State Department has pleaded guilty in stealing the $650,000 in taxpayer money, and the media is barely covering it. Lavisha Ferrer, 64 of Montgomery Village, Maryland, also known as her alias Lavisha Brezovic, admitted on federal court today to looting all this money from the State Department in 2 years span while working as a senior budget and analysis office of the chief of protocol. So she was the accountant over budgeting, stealing the money. Says according to the DOJ, Ferrer wielded her signature authority like a blank checkbook, issuing 63 fraudulent checks between 2022 and 2024, 60 to herself and 3 to another individual with whom she had a personal relationship. So she's writing her boyfriend checks and writing herself checks. All the checks were funneled straight to the Ferrer's personal checking and savings account, but the scheme didn't end there. Ferrer then used QuickBooks software to alter the payee's information in the Department of Internal Services, swapping her own name for legitimate State Department vendors in an apparent effort to throw off the potential audits. Tried to hide the evidence. Didn't work out too well for her. Well, she pled guilty to it in court. Theft of government property, felony offense that carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. U.S. District Court Christopher R. Cooper has set her sentencing for September 18th. Ferrer agreed to pay restitution except forfeiture money judgment in amount she stole. So she's not going to go to jail, but she's going to have to pay the money back. That's what it looks like, folks. I say lock her up. I don't care if you got the money to pay back the money you stole. If you're rich enough to pay the money back and not be broke, why were you stealing? I don't get it. So you're a multimillionaire and you're a thief, and so you think you can pay your way out of the problems. I don't think it should work that way. Hopefully my audio is good today. We're trying it this way. Otherwise, I'm just looking like a fool holding this snow globe in my hand. But I've got another couple of articles for you before we get out of here today. Another corruption situation exposed. Former USDA, United States Drug Administration, program director pleads guilty in $400,000 kickback scheme. Faces prison for corruption and abuse of public office. Oh, they're not going to play with this guy. It ain't just give the money back. Yeah, it's going to jail. Since Kirk Perry, 60, of Lorain, Ohio, had once held a position of trust of a USDA program director, admitted in court to conspiring with his nephew, Jamaria Grant, to defraud the federal government by submitting fraudulent invoices for work that was never done. Oh, okay. He's having pretend contractors. Okay, I've seen that game before. Former USDA program director pleads guilty in a $400,000 kickback scheme. Says he admitted to conspiracy to commit money, property, and honest service wire fraud. Grant had already pleaded guilty to the same charges last November. Now Perry awaits sentencing on December 4, 2025, while Grant's sentencing is pending. The Department of Justice confirms that both men face up to 20 years in federal prison for their crimes. It says even more brazen, Perry had direct access to the nephew's bank account and siphoned out about $125,000 of the stolen funds into his own pocket. Yeah, they had a little hustle going on. Didn't work out too well for them. Now, I don't know if all y'all know who Beto O'Rourke is, but being a Texan, he is a thorn in our side that will not go away. He has run in Texas 3 times, spent I think about $100 million, if not more, to try to unseat Ted Cruz and who was it last time? Last time it was Colin Aldridge was the guy they put in instead of Beto O'Rourke trying to take a Senate seat, but or a seat over here. But it's Ted Cruz is always on the chopping block against Beto O'Rourke. But Beto O'Rourke has literally 3 times lost in Texas because he supports taking your guns away. He supports the whole gay transgender movement, and open borders is a blessing to him. And with those policies, he'll never win in Texas, but it looks like Beto O'Rourke, the serial loser, is talking about throwing his hat in the ring to run again. I guess he's going to run against John Cornyn in 2026, in theory. But we're going to put somebody else better in there, like Ken Paxton. There's no chance he could beat Ken Paxton. No chance he'll even get the Democrat primary, get that far, is what I have to believe. Oh, Beto the dork. He was actually electioneering here in town using a microphone within 100 foot of a voting place. I called him out on that crap. That was a couple years ago. Yeah, he frequents Waco. He's not far from here. I think he lived somewhere close, to be honest. Now, I've got a clip here of Nancy Mace does a smackdown on a code pink crazy lady. This is one of the psychopaths that works for the Democrat Party. She is a paid activist. It's a code pink lady.
Hello, Congresswoman. What do you have to say today about the starvation of children in Gaza?
You're a self-hating Jew, right? Is that what you are?
I was
you
asking,
hate Jews?
I am a Jew, so
yeah,
I'm certainly
you hate
not.
Jews. You love Hamas.
Well, I asked you what you think about the starvation
You guys are
of
domestic
children.
terrorists. You support domestic terrorism.
That's also silly, but on a more serious note, do you have concern about the starvation in Gaza? I know you love Jews. We all love Jews. What about the children who are starving because Israel has not let in food for the last 2 months?
What about all the Jews that have been murdered by Hamas and civilians in Gaza? You guys are disgusting.
You're okay with the collective punishment of 2 million people?
I support the Jews all around the world, even you. You're self-loathing Jewishness.
So you support me?
Your freedom of speech, yes, I do.
Okay, good. Well, do you support children?
Wow.
Do you think children should be starved and kept away from medicines?
You're doing really fast on your feet. I'm surprised at how fast you're going. You got sneakers on?
I do.
You're doing pretty good.
I do, but I am worried about your soul and your heart. That you don't seem to be caring about children.
Love the pink ladies. You look good.
She's worried about her soul. I don't think so. Lady, you need to go home and take care of your cats. Leave the politics to people who know what they're doing. It says, breaking the Ukraine mineral deal has been signed. You know what that means? That means the Russia-Ukraine war is coming to an end. Trump going to get his mineral rights no matter what, due to the fact that we spent $350 billion and didn't get nothing out of the deal besides a lack of ammunition of our own to work with, since we give it all away to Ukraine. Well, Trump muscled Zelensky into a mineral deal a while back, which needed to be. We got to get something. Every other country that threw money at Ukraine ended up getting a loan payment deferment plan to pay the money back with interest. Well, we didn't try to do no negotiating like that. Why? Because they didn't want to be accountable for the money that was pouring into Ukraine, because half of it was coming back to the United States on that boomerang program known as military industrial complex, Democrat Party, Rhino Party, circumventing half the money that leaves this country through contractors like USAID to shove the money right back in their own pockets. That's what was really going on this entire time. And that has trickled down to a screeching halt, and Zelensky knows that he is on borrowed time, and he's eventually going to run out of money completely, because England and European Union is only going to be able to do so much, because That's that lone game he's playing. So hopefully, even though Zelensky wants to continue war because of the money, hopefully, because Trump's got this Ukraine mineral deal secured, he's going to be able to set up shop over there, and nobody will attack Ukraine because we'll be over there mining, using the Ukrainian people as employees of the whole situation, which means it will create jobs for the people that don't want to shoot at each other anymore. They just want to go back to work. So this is actually a brilliant plan by Trump, and if everything goes as planned, since this deal is signed, it does look like Ukrainians will be back to work instead of back to killing each other, and we're going to get what we paid for. We're going to get something. We're going to get a return out of all this almost wasted investment. All right, folks. I got one more last clip for you here today, and we will call it a wrap. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Not too much reverb on the video clips. But I thought this was a crazy clip. I found it last minute, and I just figured I would play it for you. This is it's a CIA director, Gina Haspel, conspired with OCCRP, Adam Schiff, you said, to topple the United States government in 2019. Adam Schiff. All right, and this is Mount Rush memes. Is where this came from another listener that I was too salty texting. But listen to the context of this conversation before we get out of here.
You have this new piece on Substack that the USAID and the CIA
If you don't know, that's Michael Schellenberger.
helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, the House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. And it was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back home. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate essentially for Trump's impeachment. So I think it's just one of many revelations that we'll see coming out in the next few weeks.
USAID was involved in regime change abroad and here at home.
Yep.
Very interesting. If you want to read more about what Mike's talking about, go to his Substack.
That's Mike Schellenberger. He's on Twitter. He's on Substack. He is a whistleblower. He has been before, him and Matt Taibbi have been before Congress. They exposed the Twitter files, how the government was involved, the IRS. Just about every three-lettered agency for the government. A lot of the intel agencies for the government were heavily saturated into all these social media sites, trying to control them and censor the public and have them narrate the conversation, so people couldn't know about the laptop and people heard nothing but Trump is evil. You know the stick. That's what I got for you today, folks. That's a little interesting tidbit there at the end. I have to dig a little more into that. Hopefully everybody enjoyed, and if you have not, come over to my channel and watch this video right here. Right here. Hold on, folks. right here. I encourage everybody to please do so. It is mind-blowing, off the chain, implicating Biden, Hillary, Obama, audio disclosure, whistleblowers, people that were there on the scene. It's ugly. If you haven't seen it, I dare you to come watch it. It will definitely shock you at the least. All right, folks, everybody have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share. If you haven't already, y'all know the drill.